Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate to have amongst us Shri Ajit Nimbalkar, former Chief Secretary, Government of Maharashtra, who had the privilege to work with late Shri B.G. Deshmukh and witness his great leadership in administration. Let us invite Shri Ajit Nimbalkar to share with us his memories about Shri B.G. Deshmukh and his contributions to the state and nation. Thank you.
Honorable Cabinet Secretary and friends, Shri B.G. Deshmukh passed away in August 2011, and as was just said, this is in honor of his memory. This is the fourth lecture that we are, Yasada and Janwani is holding. I'm sure by now all of you know about Shri Deshmukh, but I see some young faces in the benches at the last end, and for their benefit, at the cost of repetition also, I will go through some of the important achievements of Shri Deshmukh. I had the good fortune to work under him both at the state level as well as at the central level, and I observed closely his working after retirement also. Now, most of us know about Shri Deshmukh as an ex-cabinet secretary. He was an able administrator, definitely. But there are other aspects also which need to be highlighted. Apart from that, he worked in the private sector also and distinguished himself in that. He wrote several books, and after retirement, particularly, he played the role of an activist and the founder chairman of several NGOs and public bodies. I'll touch briefly on each one of them. But in all this aspect, the important thread was good governance. He was passionately involved in development and good governance. And for that purpose, whether it was books, or working in the public sector or private sector, the main thread was good governance. Shri Deshmukh had his original education in Pune, schooling, college, etc. was in Pune. And he belonged to the first batch of direct recruits at IS, 1951. So after independence, when the ICS was no more, the question was, who is going to administer India, the civil service? Many had doubts whether the newly founded Indian Administrative Service will be an equal match to the ICS. And Shri Deshmukh and his colleagues of those days set the pace and distinguished themselves in the very career. He was first allotted to the Bombay state, as it was then, and then later on came, when Maharashtra was carved out, he came to Maharashtra. In the state itself, he had very important posts. He was Principal Secretary to the Chief Minister, Shri Vasantara Naik at that time. The first secretary at level. Earlier, the secretaries to the Chief Minister used to be of Deputy Secretary level. He was the first person who came at that high post position. Then later on, he became Municipal Commissioner Mumbai and moved to Government of India in the Home Ministry, and later on he was Secretary Labour for 4 years. He distinguished himself in the labour field. He was chairman of the governing body of the ILO in his last year as Labour Secretary. After that, Maharashtra called him back. He came back to Maharashtra as Chief Secretary. And one would have thought that normally he would retire as the Chief Secretary. But Shri Rajiv Gandhi, after he took over as the Prime Minister, recalled him and made him Cabinet Secretary. This itself was a departure from the normal trend. As Mr. Seth would know, Cabinet Secretaries generally are picked up from the Secretaries to Government of India. Mr. Deshmukh, from Secretary to Government of India, had gone back to the state. This was a very rare instance when he was called back from the state and took over as the Cabinet Secretary. And even after Cabinet Secretary, so much was the confidence in him that Mr. Rajiv Gandhi took him as Secretary to Prime Minister after his retirement. He not only continued with Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, but he continued even after Mr. Rajiv Gandhi left. He was Secretary to Prime Minister with Mr. V.P. Singh, and then later on with Mr. Chandrasekhar also for a short spell. After that, after retirement, he came into the private sector. He was, and then again he played a very important role. He was full-time director of Tata Sons. He was also chairman of Tata Institute, of the governing body of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And he was on several boards. He was chairman of Cicolex, he was independent director of Finolex, and several other companies in both Bombay and Pune. He wrote books also on his past work. One of the famous books is A Cabinet Secretary Looks Back. Then there was a book on Cabinet Secretary Thinks Aloud, A Cabinet Secretary Looks Around, Pune to Prime Minister's Office, etc. He used to write several articles also on that. After he had finished his innings in the government, private sector, and he was writing books, he devoted himself again to the cause of good governance and activating the citizens in this process. First, the work was in Mumbai, later on he shifted to Pune. In Mumbai, he was with certain organizations also, like he was president of the Asiatic Society, he was chairman of the Bombay Natural History Society, he was a member of the Bombay First, he was on the Mohalla Committee, Movement Trust, Prince of Wales Museum, etc. But he was also founder chairman of certain active NGOs like Agni, Praja, and PCGT, Public Concern for Good Governance, both at Mumbai and at Pune. He not only got the citizens to come on these organizations and work for good governance, but he also took a leading part in certain agitations for this cause. One of the important cases was in 2003, there was a bomb blast in Ghatkopar in Mumbai. And the opposition parties called for Mumbai Ban, rail roko and road roko, etc. to bring entire life to a standstill. So the inconvenience for the common citizens in a big way. And Mr. Deshmukh, along with some other members, filed a PI in 2003 itself. This ban was on 30th July 2003, and he filed a PI saying that this has caused so much inconvenience to the ordinary citizens. And the High Court passed a judgment saying that this was unconstitutional, the ban was unconstitutional, and the concerned political parties were fined 20 lakhs each at that time. This was a major landmark, because after that, political parties have been very careful about getting involved in organizing bans, etc. Mr. Deshmukh not only led a selfless life, but towards several causes, but he also overcame several tragedies in his personal life. He lost his wife early. His only daughter, before she completed 20, passed away when he was secretary to the Prime Minister. He was in Pune at that time. But in spite of these tragedies, he kept his calm and he kept on working towards causes that are very dear to him. He also led by personal example. He made personal contributions to causes which were dear to him. Several organizations are personal witness to that. He gave money generously. One important case only I would like to cite, and Mr. Kshatriya is here, so he would bear testimony to that. We have the Indian Institute of Public Administration, Maharashtra. Mr. Kshatriya was then the General Secretary. And Mr. Deshmukh spoke with him and said, I want to make a contribution. We thought it would be normally a few thousand rupees. And he was surprised. A check of 10 lakhs was given to Mr. Kshatriya. No preconditions, no gulao about it, no noise, nothing. That was his way of working. he always laid stress on the citizen first and good governance. I think he was a role model to all of us, both in service and outside, and I'm sure his life will inspire all the younger generation to accordingly work towards that cause. These lectures are organized in his memory and in the cause that he devoted himself to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for throwing light on life of late Shri B.G. Deshmukh and making us all familiar with his aura and remarkable career span.